The Liver King just got arrested for making terroristic threats against Joe Rogan. And if you don't know who the Liver King is, he's this social media personality known for selling supplements, promoting what he calls an ancestral lifestyle, eating raw meat, and having just this big bodybuilder physique. You know, in the past, he had kind of been the focal point of some controversies, including how he denied using steroids, though it eventually came out that he was in fact spending tons of money on steroids to achieve his figure. But now he's in the news for a very different reason, and before he got arrested, he started posting an incredibly bizarre series of videos promising to pick a fight with Joe Rogan.
This is why Joe Rogan is afraid of Liver King. Right now, the internet is buzzing about the conflict between UFC commentator Joe Rogan and Netflix star Liver King. The drama escalated yesterday when Liver King was arrested and taken into custody after traveling to the city where Joe Rogan lives, allegedly intending to confront him physically. Rogan found out about his arrival and immediately alerted the police.
Joe Rogan just got the last laugh, and the Liver King is officially in meltdown mode. After months of dodging the truth, Brian Johnson was arrested in Austin for threatening Rogan online. He posted unhinged videos, challenged him to a fight, and told the internet, "You're dead." But instead of a fight, cops showed up and dragged him out of a hotel room. And just like that, the Liver King's primal kingdom started to crumble. But things were about to explode. This wasn't just a one-time outburst. The internet watched in disbelief as Liver King rambled about enemas, claimed he needed 12 minutes to get dressed, and said cops wouldn't arrest him naked. He was ranting like a man completely disconnected from reality. And then came the arrest for making a terroristic threat. It spirals from here. While Liver King was being cuffed, Joe Rogan sat back, completely unfazed. Because Rogan had called this out from the start. Years ago, he looked at Liver King's jacked physique and said what everyone was thinking. There's no way that guy's natural.
Or anything and everything. Because Joe Rogan, we don't have to make videos to pretend anymore. All of this is happening. We're coming to you. I've challenged you man to man to a fight. Honorable. And we don't have to pretend or make any videos. The world is watching. They'll make the videos for us. And you don't have to hold a camera. You can hold the hand of somebody that you love, because what happens next to you, you're going to need to remember that feeling. You're going to need something more than what you did to give you something to fight for, because I have my family to fight for. And then I'll die for them, you know that. And you're a black belt, but you've never come across something like this, willing to die.
Rogan didn't fall for the raw liver fairy tale. He said it loud and clear. This guy's on steroids. Now here's where the truth hits hard. Rogan explained it simply. Having a body like that without performance enhancers? Nearly impossible. Liver King could scream about eating heart and bone marrow all day, but no diet makes a man that massive in his 40s. Still, Johnson doubled down. He looked Rogan in the eye, in Las Vegas, and insisted he was 100% natural. But then everything changed. The lie collapsed under its own weight. Liver King was finally forced to admit it. In a staged apology video, he looked straight into the camera and confessed, "Yes, I've done steroids. Yes, I'm on steroids." He said he was embarrassed. He said he was ashamed. But the damage was already done. This part left everyone stunned. And if the apology was meant to win people back, it failed hard. He rambled about honorary marriage, claimed he was doing it to help young men feel strong again, and even called himself a hormone clinician. But none of that mattered. What mattered was the truth. He lied over and over and made millions doing it. That's when everything unraveled.
Do you believe you like liver? Have you ever talked about liver before, Joe Rogan? Oh, what about Bond? What about that one? Do you like that one? Those are the ancestral tenets, the real ones, not the one that you made up about sunning your butthole. That was the imaginary one that you were hoping was on the list of commandments or tenets or whatever.
This is the same man who became famous by sunning his genitals, eating raw liver, and walking around shirtless with a massive beard. He branded himself as the alpha of all alphas, the Primal King. But now, the only thing raw is his reputation. It gets worse. Joe Rogan didn't flinch when Liver King finally came clean, because he already knew. For Rogan, the steroid confession wasn't a surprise. It was a matter of time. He'd warned everyone from day one. There's no way someone in their 40s looks like that naturally. And now, with the mask off, Rogan let loose. He called Liver King's body preposterous, said it looked off the charts, and asked to pull up images just to show how insane it really was. But it gets even messier. Rogan mocked the apology video on his podcast, pointing out how fake it felt. He played the clip where Liver King says, "I messed up," and shook his head. To Rogan, this wasn't a real apology. It was damage control. The only reason Liver King finally told the truth was because he got caught. And here's where the mask falls off.
And I'm coming to Joe Rogan's town, Austin. I was here before you, Joe Rogan. It's Texas, that's my home. This week you probably might need to worry about me. You probably need to worry about Joe Rogan more. You've never come across something like this. Willing to die, hoping that you'll choke me out. All week, Joe Rogan. So when I'm like, hey, anybody know my name? Liver King. Who am I fighting? Joe Rogan. By the way, I don't know if anyone knows, we're going to have free Wi-Fi everywhere we are. We're going to have free Wi-Fi. And the password for this week, only 1 week, is fuck you, Joe Rogan.
He hasn't gone into detail as to what the source of the beef is, though you have some speculating it might be because Joe's discussed Liver King on his podcast before and suggested that his steroid use is pretty obvious. You also had the Hollywood Reporter saying that the Liver King might even partly blame Joe for his steroid scandal and its impact on his career. But whatever the motive may have been, as Liver King posted that he had traveled to Austin, Texas to meet Joe, you saw a lot of people popping up in the comments section just worried about his mental health and well-being. And those concerns, they just got louder and louder when he posted a series of videos showing him getting arrested, including one where he learned that the cops were outside with him putting on a shirt referencing his fight with Rogan and also asking, "What did I do that's illegal?" And now you've got multiple outlets reporting that he's been charged with a Class B misdemeanor of making a terroristic threat. But follow to stay in the loop.
Liver King tried to spin it as a noble mission. He claimed he did steroids under a trained hormone clinician. He said he lied to help depressed young men become their most dominant form. But Rogan wasn't buying any of it. This part left everyone stunned. Rogan explained that instead of helping people, Liver King misled them into thinking they could transform their bodies just by eating liver and lifting weights, when he knew that was a lie. And the apology? It only made things worse. Liver King rambled about being rich before social media, about not wanting this kind of exposure, and said he never expected to blow up like this. But people didn't buy that either, because everything about his brand was planned from day one. Now here's where it gets insane. Behind the scenes, Liver King was desperately trying to get on Rogan's podcast. He sent a producer to approach Rogan in Vegas. He reached out through mutual friends. He even showed up front row at UFC events, hoping to get Rogan's attention. But Rogan rejected him completely. He called it all dumb and said Liver King ran a con. "You lied. You got caught. That's what happens." And then came the bombshell. Joe Rogan didn't hold back. He exposed every fake move, every shady tactic, every manipulation. He reminded everyone that once you build an empire on lies, the fall is guaranteed. And Liver King, he was falling fast. This is where it all falls apart.
But going through his old social media posts, it seems to be just something he's had for a while. But seeing all these threads speculating about what's happening to him, regardless if they're getting it right, just proves that getting arrested can successfully get him his relevance, which is concerning if you think of the precedents, as you could gain internet fame by building some sort of skill and showcasing it online. But if there's one thing social media will never run out of, is idiots.
But instead of stepping away, Liver King did the unthinkable. He doubled down. On social media, he started calling out Rogan directly. He said, "I'm picking a fight with you." He admitted he had zero training and that Rogan was a black belt, but still challenged him. The tone grew darker. The posts got louder. The threats turned real. And then, total chaos. That's when police finally stepped in. After making repeated threats against Joe Rogan online, Liver King was arrested at the Four Seasons in Austin. He told followers he was serious. He wanted to fight. He kept repeating it. But instead of facing Rogan, he got locked in a cell. It turns darker from here. Liver King completely lost it. In a now infamous video, he started ranting about Time, Texas, and free Wi-Fi. His message to Joe Rogan got weirder by the second. He said the Wi-Fi password was FEU Joe Rogan, all caps. It was like watching a meltdown in real time. His threats weren't just unhinged, they were dangerous. It goes completely off the rails now. He rambled about fighting, nails, family, and honor. He claimed he had something real to fight for. Then tried to flip the whole thing on Rogan, saying he hoped Rogan would choke him out. He dared him to break his bones. He promised he wouldn't tap. Liver King wasn't acting like a man with a plan. He was acting like a man with nothing left to lose. Brace yourself for this one.
The two have been feuding online for quite some time. It all started when Joe Rogan publicly claimed that Liver King is fake and that everything he promotes makes no sense. Liver King felt disrespected and started firing back online. However, things took a serious turn when Rogan mentioned Liver King's family, which enraged him and prompted him to travel directly to confront Rogan in person. The internet is now calling Rogan a coward, accusing him of only talking tough online while being too scared to say anything in real life. Many people believe Rogan is afraid of Liver King due to his size and strength and say that Liver King would easily overpower him in any kind of confrontation.
Meanwhile, UFC fighter Brendan Schaub stepped in and tore the fantasy apart. He said even if Liver King somehow got through Rogan's elite security, dogs, guards, and guns, he'd still get wrecked in seconds. Rogan's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Taekwondo. He's knocked out real fighters. Schaub made it crystal clear. This wouldn't be a fight. It'd be a beatdown. But this next twist? Game-changing. That's when police got involved. Texas authorities launched a full investigation. Liver King wasn't just making noise. He was headed for a criminal charge. Rogan never responded publicly, but he told detectives he felt the threats were real. Based on the videos and travel records, the Austin police got a warrant. And then came the bombshell. They arrested Brian Johnson, aka Liver King, at a hotel in Austin. He didn't resist. The man who once roared about primal dominance was silent as they put him in cuffs. His empire of meat and lies? Over. Here's where the truth hits hard. After his arrest, Liver King tried to shift the tone. Again. He released another public statement, saying he never meant to cause harm. He admitted his behavior was wrong. But critics saw right through it. He only apologized after getting arrested. And just like his last confession, it felt scripted, rehearsed, and desperate. That's when everything unraveled. Some fans still clung to his brand, but most people had already seen the truth. This wasn't a man fighting for principles. It was a man protecting his image, lying until he couldn't anymore, and spiraling the moment it all came crashing down. The real chaos starts here. Even in his final messages, Liver King kept trying to twist the story. He said the terroristic threat wasn't a threat. It was a present for Rogan. He invited Rogan to fight again, saying they didn't need to hug after. But at that point, nobody was taking him seriously. The illusion was shattered. And then, total chaos. The case is still moving through the courts. His legal team claims they're preparing a strong defense. But Joe Rogan? He's already moved on. He didn't take the bait. He didn't escalate. He simply watched the meltdown from a distance, knowing he was right all along. And that's when the tables turned. Liver King tried to build a kingdom on lies. But in the end, he exposed himself. No matter how much raw liver he ate, no matter how many threats he made, or how loud he screamed, he lost. He wanted to prove he was untouchable. Instead, he proved the exact opposite. They tried to bury someone else, but ended up destroying themselves.